Okay, so I'm here with Lucy Lucas, who I interviewed in the Fearless Fridays series a couple of years ago. September 2017 is the date I have when I published it. So I'd love to just check in with you, Lucy, to hear, well, first of all, if you could remind us what you were doing and what was the change that you went about, and then I'll ask you a couple of other questions about what you've been doing since.
Okay, sure. So when I spoke to you, Anna, in 2015, I was at the time living in Ibiza, where I was teaching yoga and also working for a hiking company called Walking Ibiza as their business manager. And I had just arrived on the island in May of that year, so 1st of May the ferry docked. And prior to that, past 14, 15 years, I'd spent working in finance in the city, so in insurance, banking and consulting. So obviously a very big change to go from Canary Wharf to Ibiza.
Yes, big geographical change and I guess mindset and lifestyle and everything. So I remember you talked a lot about sort of that you're the main barrier to making changes, so you're the one who's going to get in your own way. And how have things evolved since you made that change then? So you were living in Ibiza then. Are you still living there now? What are you working on? What's exciting at the moment?
No, so now I live in my hometown, which is Tunbridge Wells in Kent. I think shortly after I spoke to Anna, to you, I thought I had this sort of realisation that, Ibiza wasn't the place for me for a number of reasons. So it's very difficult to make money. And I realised that most of the people who were successful there had, let's say, other sources of income that were coming in off the island. So property or other businesses, or they had partners who commuted to London to work. Right. And again, that's a side that you don't really find out until you go and live there and meet people who live there. But whereas it was just me and my work on the island and my savings. And also Ibiza has a very particular energy. So if you've ever visited, you'll know it has a very particular energy. And that energy just didn't really work for me. Mm-hmm. I'm a very sort of grounded home kind of person. And so in December of 2015, I packed up my car and I drove all the way home again, back to my hometown, and basically had December off with family. And then in January went to work as a yoga teacher. So I set up my own classes. I got a job at a gym teaching classes, started volunteering, started networking, and it kind of grew from there. So I also have last year I had a part-time job in a shop, because I think a lot of people talk about the glamorous side of quitting your corporate job. Look at me on the beach, isn't it great? But actually, for a lot of us, it's actually really, really hard work. I think in 2016 I worked 6 days a week, sometimes more, often 14-hour days. So there were days when I would get up, teach yoga, go to the shop that I worked in all day, and I was on duty, so I opened and locked up the shop, and then I went and taught a yoga class in the evening, and that would happen quite regularly, and I had very little money and I was exhausted. But at the same time, actually I didn't seem to mind. It was like something necessary that had to happen to kind of grow your business. Anyone who works in sales will tell you that you probably work harder working for yourself than you do in a big corporate. And again, I think sometimes that's a message that's kind of hidden, that people think, I'm going to quit my corporate job and then I'm going to do nothing. And I'm like, no, you'll probably work harder for less money. So,
okay,
yeah,
so a bit of reality check, I guess. And
yeah, definitely.
I suppose it takes almost going there, as you said, to feel that energy, to experience what it's like and to give it a go, right? So hugely courageous, I think, to go over there, and then courageous as well to make the decision that that's not for you and to come back to England. Yeah,
you have to try it. Without, you can second guess yourself the whole time, but until you try it, and then you have to be honest and say, is it really me? So working corporate life wasn't me, but also being like an Ibiza hippie person wasn't me either. But funnily enough, living in Tunbridge Wells somehow seems to be much more me for now. So we'll see.
Well, that's good. Again, I guess it's the black and white thinking that we leave one thing behind, thinking that the next one is going to be the perfect thing. But again, it's probably another thing that we need to experience, to try to experiment, and gradually we're kind of zoning in on the right fit for us. And as you said, that could evolve as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So now I still have a part-time job, but I work for a web agency. I do their bookkeeping and their social media, and very part-time. And I teach more yoga and I teach mindfulness, so that's actually grown. So that's like about 2/3 of my income now. So yeah, so it's good. And now I only work 5.5 days a week, if that. 5 days a week and Saturday mornings.
Good.
So it's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot easier, and I have more money. Funny that.
Well, it's a process, and as you said, we do have to work hard. And again, it's not going to happen within a few days, right? I think the people who manage to get a 6-figure or whatever startup in their first few months are probably the exceptions rather than the rule.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And like, you know, great for them, but I think for the majority, and that other people that I've spoken to in a similar boat also have part-time jobs, also, you know, work really hard and have no time for themselves, and I think we all just sort of accept that's reality, but it's often not kind of showcased enough that that's what the reality is. I mean, this country is built on small to medium-sized businesses, right? Plumbers, electricians, web agencies, graphic designers. I mean, all different sectors. You know, home-based accountants. Whatever you're doing, there's lots of small to medium-sized enterprises. And yes, there's flexibility because you can work when you want, but actually, you tend to work more because you need to generate the income, because you don't have that kind of safety net of a guaranteed salary coming in your bank account every month. You actually have to go out and generate the work, and quite a lot of the time the work that you're doing isn't even delivering your product or service, it's all the hustling and the sales to actually get people in through the door. So
yeah, I've heard sort of a 20-80 split there, that, you know, 20% of your time is actually in the business, and then the 80% is sort of on it, running, you know, the admin, the finance, the getting the leads and so on. Yeah, okay.
Which actually you don't get a direct payment for. Yeah, and but
okay.
That's just the way it is. So
yeah, well, it's again a good reality check, and good to share all these different versions of what works, and yet still it sounds like you're not regretting that change, and you're continuing your sort of exploration for what fits you. Do you have any, I guess, final updated advice then, based on now the last couple of years since we spoke? So something with your experience in mind, anything that you would add in terms of, you know, what to think about when you're making this change?
I guess like the first change might not be it. Like there might be more. In fact, there will be more. So whatever you leave to go and do, that's not it. There'll be other things that come. But what the danger is that kind of clinginess that you had in the corporate thing, like not wanting to let go of things, that you take that mindset into the next thing, and then you don't want to let go of that, and then that stops you going on to the next thing. So you just be sort of very aware of, particularly if it's something you've created, you set something up, but you don't want to let, because it's your baby now, you don't want to let it. So just to be aware of that.
Wow, no, that's incredibly powerful. Not to make the same mistake we were making before in the corporate world, to latch on to the next thing. Exactly. I guess constantly challenging ourselves. I always talk about getting out of your comfort zone, but, you know, not getting too comfortable again into something else that doesn't really work for you either.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, really great advice. Thanks so much, Lucy, for sharing your updated experience, and hope to hear again in a couple of years maybe what you're up to then.
Great. Thanks, Anna. Bye.